Okay, Canada. Just going to give you a little update for this week because things are really starting to get bad. Be on your toes. Be ready. Pay attention. Because I expect over the course of the next few months or years even, that impending potential for collapse of not just the economic aspect of Western cultures, but the social degradation as well, has been ramped up. It's been put in a speed at a faster pace than it was even since the financial crisis, right? I mean, we all know, okay, so the liberals have taken a complete majority. So they went from, remember, sitting at the back of the bus, relegated to obscurity, to now not just winning the federal elections and taking a huge majority where they have sweeping powers to do whatever they want, unimposed, unencumbered. But now even the provinces, so think about it, right? Whether it's Chris or whatever in BC, that Christy Clark, whatever her name is in BC, Alberta, NDP, right? Socialists in disguise, or actually a lot of them openly admit it, get power. Well, you know, Central Canada, Ontario and Quebec, socialist, quasi-fascist paradise in Canada. And now even the East Coast has gone back to the Liberals. As of, what was it, last night? Now even this Dwight Ball, Newfoundland's new premier, with a landslide victory, gives them sweeping powers. And that's another, Newfoundland is another province that became a have-not or became a have province as a result of investing in the oil and gas, offshore oil and gas industry. But now, well, just like with the rest of the collectivists and their push for climate change, I mean, I expect this Dwight Ball will join the chorus of the rest of his collectivist cohorts and trying to really put their thumb on the business community in this country. That's, I mean, messing with the regular people, you or I, no politicians care about that predominantly. Or no central planners really care about how the people are oppressed. But you start messing with the power structures in the economy, right? That's when things start to really get heated up, because these are the people that have real power. You and I, we have no power. But the corporations, big business, big banks, they have lots of power. And if you don't think there's going to be pushback to this constant, I mean, look at how low oil prices are. So these companies aren't making huge amounts of profits like they used to. And now you got these carbon taxes, which is, to me, I mean, even that alone, a carbon tax. And the funny part is the lefties keep talking like as if that's going to save our environment. Like, could you imagine? But I mean, well, lots of people fall for this shit. I mean, that's the power of indoctrination, right? The power of the mystical belief in government, in the deity called government. But they think that if you put a tax, right? If you charge everyone money, although that's the thing, like who actually has to pay it? Most people won't have to pay it, because if they actually had to pay it themselves, well, then there would be an uprising and a pushback. But they'll just push that off onto next generations, or use sleight of hand and trickery to make it so that the people that it would really affect won't actually suffer the consequences. It'll be pushed on to, like I say, successive generations, so that no one will have to feel the immediate pain of what that really means. I mean, and that's the other thing. Like, I'm kind of going off on one, but think about it. How does charging money, like stealing from people, how do you suppose, like, these big businesses, if the government says, okay, we're going to impose a carbon tax, well, even when they say, well, the really high polluting industries, well, they'll just say, okay, well, look, there's a business over there that doesn't pollute. All they do is produce, I don't know, whatever that's very minor polluting type of industry. Oh, we just want to use up there because they don't pollute nearly as much as they're allowed. So we'll just take on their amount. And somehow that's going to, like, I don't know how any of that actually protects the environment. Because you're not going to reduce, I mean, think about it. If you actually want to reduce a carbon footprint, which is humans flourishing, if you want to reduce people's ability to flourish and prosper, I mean, if you can actually try to pull that off realistically, well, then you'll see how Canadians really care about the environment. You'll find out that they really don't give a flying fuck about the environment if it affects their bottom line. And you think you're going to impose these costs on these mega corporations, but really, it's either really, I mean, because they have the power and influence, they're not going to be affected in any way, shape, or form. So it would be the people in the here and now, the lowly wage slaves, the serfs, that would really be affected. But governments aren't willing to push that on to even the regular people because they know the uprising, the backlash will happen. So they're going to try to probably push this off onto successive generations that have had no say in the matter, no skin in the game, nothing to do with any of what's happening, what's transpired, so that they can keep this system hum along just a little longer. That's just the first part. Now you got, and Trudeau, I mean, that's another thing too. I mean, Trudeau is basically a self-admitted feminist, which is sad for a man. But I mean, look at the family. Look at what he's surrounded with. I mean, no wonder the man's fucked in the head. I mean, what? Wouldn't expect any worse or any less. He's been molded since the time he was born to be a sociopath, a mindless sociopath, control freak. Anyways, but he goes on about how the government shouldn't have to pay for, or people shouldn't have to be forced to pay for the bigwigs living high and mighty. But here we are, Trudeau's children's nannies being paid for by taxpayers. So what do you get as a prime minister? What, probably in Canada, at least a few $100,000 a year, which is good money. I mean, think about that, Canada. I mean, most of you that are going to watch this video, you got to recognize that, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. That's good money. You should be able to afford to pay for your own shit, no? Especially if you're one that's trying to propagate that, that's unfair for taxpayers have to pay for special interest groups or corporations, all this shit. But he has no problem. So we know. I mean, the proof is always in the pudding. Reality versus rhetoric. Rhetoric and reality never matches up when you're talking about politicians, central planners, control freaks, and sociopaths. You must know this by now. But these people are all getting power. Trudeau, all these collectives are getting power because the people that rely on that, public servants, public sector workers, the people that steal from the taxpayer, that live off the proceeds, the fruits of the labor of the taxpayer, they're all supporting them. All the unions. So, yeah, you lowly Canadians in the private sector, you're outnumbered now enough. The way the political system works, you're outnumbered enough now. There's enough people on the doles of government spending and theft that they're going to keep on, whether it's in whether they recognize it as inherently immoral and wrong or corrupt, they're going to keep doing it and promoting and supporting this shit because it's in their interest. Humans always put their own interests above everything else. As much as these collectivists try to talk about being, caring about others and putting other people's interests before them, no one really believes that shit. They always put themselves first, and you can see that. I mean, here's another example of that one. Where did that go? Oh yeah, sick leave benefits. Well, I mean, if you read this article in the Financial Post, it's called sick leave benefits, about how the public sector workers of course they take a whole lot of sick days off and double, triple, whatever compared to the private sector counterparts because they can't be fired. All that comes from someone else paying for them at the force, of gun. So of course they're going to take advantage of it. Of course they're standing on the back of the people because they don't mind it. To become part of the system of governance, you have to, whether it happens immediately or progresses over the course of time. You're of a mentality that you seemingly don't even care about the individual back that you're standing on because that's what the collectivist ideology and philosophy is all about. They look at it as, of course, the private sector people should sacrifice because we are so much better than them and we know so much more and we're so above everyone else. Of course, they should lick my shoes. They should do whatever I ask them because I am so vastly superior to them. That's their mentality. It truly is. Meanwhile, debt load has many Canadians living on the edge with high housing prices largely to blame. But anyways, so most Canadians, or a large percentage of Canadians, of course they're all living on the edge. But yet, what? The government wants to give billions of dollars to emerging countries, bring in all these refugees at the cost of the taxpayer. So we all know that the taxpayer, the provincial governments, the federal governments, everybody's massively over-leveraged and in debt, but yet they just want to keep spending and spending and spending and spending and spending. It's like, well, hey, wait a minute. We've only enslaved one generation or two so far, or successive generations. Hey, well, wait a minute. They're going to have kids too. Let's push this shit off and maybe enslave one more generation. We got to at least enjoy the here and now. We're all going to be dead at some time anyways, like Kane said. So that's the mentality of these people. And Canadians seemingly are unwilling to stand up for themselves or have given in and just relented to the power structures. Here's another one, and I warned about this. I have a video out there. It's already proof that I knew this was going to happen. Expect influx of foreign workers, professionals under TTP, experts say. So with the TPP, it's not just free trades of goods or services. It's of people, right? Of slaves, of wage slaves, of tax serfs. So of course, the TPP deal is going to benefit corporations and governments and central planners once again, so that the lowly wage slaves and wage serfs in this country will have to compete with the wage slaves and tax serfs from countries that are possibly even more oppressed. So it's a race to the bottom once again. And here we go. Atlantic Canada, stuck in demographic death spiral, sees huge opportunity in Syrian refugee influx. See? This was posted on November 27, 2015. Joel O'Connor for the National Post. You look when I did my video, it was prior to this shit, but I knew instinctively because I know now. I understand how everything works. So I seen what this whole shit was about bringing in the Syrian refugees. It has nothing to do with Canadians being compassionate. Canadians didn't ask for this. Your central planners made it happen. You know that. And they did it so they'll have good, obedient wage slaves and tax serfs to take care of them. Because once again, like I said in my prior video, my generation predominantly, and the millennials, I mean, whether it's their shitty work ethic or people in my age demographic that still have decent work ethic, some of us are just not giving a fuck about the ones that oppressed us and not wanting to take care of them. Whatever reasons are behind it, they know that the people in this country aren't going to take care of these old fucks when they're at their most vulnerable time in their lives. So they need to bring in these foreign workers, these immigrants from other countries. That's going to be the next wave of slaves and serfs to compete with us, which means it's only going to be a race to the bottom, because these people are not going to elevate us, because they're already come from a mindset even worse than the philosophy taught here. Some of them anyways. I mean, like, I truly am getting to the point now where it's like, I mean, everything, all the whole picture. I mean, I consider to understand everything is like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. At this point, I have basically, I can't say it all, but I let's just say I've assembled the picture enough that there's only a couple pieces left. Are you not at least starting to recognize what the picture looks like? Take the blinders off. Look at it. You'll see it's staring you right in the face. Don't wait for the death spiral to continue to the point where we all get flushed down the toilet. Start swimming. Start pushing back. Build a dam. Stop the flow. Do something at least to push back against this. People are there are real people in all of our countries, even though you don't recognize it because your media overlords aren't telling you, but there are people suffering tremendously because of all this shit. You might even be one of them. Stop remaining silent and docile. Have some self-esteem. Stand up to them. Speak out at least. I mean, I do this on a daily basis. Even if you're scared or unwilling to say things yourself, you got people like me that are fearless. We'll do it. We'll say it. Not just in a video, out in public. I do it all the time. Take advantage of me if need be. Share, That's the thing. You have to actually share my content, my videos, my articles, anything I do. You actually have to share it. I get that you might be scared to do it yourself. Just share mine. Put all that weight on me. If people are going to hate on me, I'll take it. I got broad shoulders. I'll deal with it. But if you don't at least share what I have to say, well, it just stays in that inner circle. Nobody else is going to learn of it. Might help us. Might be like therapy for each other. But don't you want to help others too? I do. I come first. But then I do care about others. So that's why I do what I do. Help me. Help me spread the message of liberty. I know not everything is going to come out as all shiny and rosy and everyone's going to be happy if you do. Reality's a bitch. You can fight it. You can try to hide from it. But all you're doing is allowing it to flourish. Push back. Do your part. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.